Infernape, that's right, Infernape, alongside Sableye with Groudon and Ho-Oh, was able to place top 100 in a Stadium Ladder season in Regulation I. We're going to be trying out the team and seeing how well it can perform. This is a unique Sun team that features Infernape. Let's break it down. First up is the Choice Scarf Groudon with the Drought ability and Terra Ground as the typing with the Precipice Blades, High Horsepower, Heat Crash, and Crunch. You know, a bit of surprises, this team was built for Stadium Ladder, which is a closed team sheet best of 1 setting. And you know, there are a lot of things about catching opponents off guard, and why not a Choice Scarf Groudon, which isn't the fastest Pokemon out there, but it is fast enough with a jolly nature with max speed investment. You are able to outspeed Pokemon like the Miraidon, Zacian, and Calyx Shadow Rider, some of the fastest Pokemon in the format, and you can threaten them with some pretty heavy damage with your max attack investment with the Terra Ground option for very strong Precipice Blades and high horsepower damage that can bypass the Wide Guard. Heat Crash, a very powerful move where Groudon is a heavy Pokemon, so it's able to utilize very great damage into the opponent against most things, and in the Sun is powered up. And then Crunch as a move that can be able to do a lot into the Calyx Shadow Rider as well as opposing Lunala. This Groudon will catch you by surprise. It is able to do a ton of damage, great for follow-ups, especially with the Flutter Mane that is partnered with, and can do a ton of damage into Pokemon that might not be expecting, because like Miraidon, for instance, might go for a Volt Switch into the partner thinking, oh, I just get out of there before I get hit by Precipice Blades. But then the Groudon just goes for Precipice Blades and it's like, oh, I should have Terra'd. Next Pokemon we have is the Clear Amulet Ho-Oh with the Regenerator for the ability that allows it to recover HP when it switches out with the Grass Terra type with Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, Tailwind, and Protect. Pretty standard Ho-Oh. Clear Amulet, of course, a fantastic item to prevent the Intimidate from affecting the Ho-Oh, which is really nice because Incineroar with Intimidate was just always making sure that Ho-Oh wasn't doing much damage in previous generations. Now with that Clear Amulet, Ho-Oh is able to do a good amount of damage, especially with that Sacred Fire that hits really hard with the Sun summoned by the Groudon. The Terra Grass is going to be a great defensive Terra type as it really helps out against the electric attacks from Miraidon and Iron Hands, alongside the water type moves in case you are fighting like a Kyogre in a rain team or a rain dance stuff with like Torn Ursh. And then Brave Bird, a really strong flying coverage option, Tailwind for speed advantage for the rest of the team, and then Protect to keep itself around. The Eevee spread, this one is running a careful nature, actually taking advantage of its high special defense to invest even further, so this Ho-Oh really be able to take those attacks from the Miraidons with Terra, the Shadow Rider Calyrex, and a whole bunch more with its high special defense, and it's still able to do quite a bit of damage because those Sacred Fires are doing a lot of damage in Sun, so running a good amount of physical attack. And then this speed, this allows it to, I think, speed tie with Raging Bolt, max speed modest, so I'm a bit surprised it's not like one speed point above, but it does speed tie with a lot of those. But mainly in general, it is able to outspeed a lot of Pokemon, especially like the faster Riolabooms out there. It's able to outspeed max speed Incineroar to threaten the Brave Bird and do a ton of damage before they like U-turn or knock off or whatever they really want to go for. And then the remainder goes into HP, so it's able to tank on those attacks just in general better. It is just a very bulky Pokemon. It's able to hit decently hard with its really strong attacks, especially powered up by the Sun once again, and tank attacks. Not the fastest Pokemon out there, but that Tailwind helps allow the Ho to outspeed a lot of threats and do a good amount of damage. Next, we had the Choice Specs Flutter Mane with the Speed Booster Photosynthesis when in the Sun with the Terra Fairy type, alongside Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and Power Gem. Now, Choice Specs Flutter Mane was a very common choice in early regulations, but a lot of them now are running Focus Sash with the Icy Wind support. However, Choice Specs still hits very hard with that Fairy type, great into Pokemon such as the Miraidon, Koraidon, Chien-Pao, alongside Grimmsnarl, Pokemon you just want to damage. And it really is a hard Pokemon to switch into if you don't have a good Fairy resist. With that Photosynthesis, getting that speed booster just allows the Flutter Mane to be pretty consistent, just outspeeding a lot of threats like the Shadow Rider Calyrex, like the Miraidons consistently, and just able to fire off really heavy damage with that Terra Fairy alongside Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam support, Shadow Ball, strong ghost type attack, And then Power Gem, if you face an opposing Ho-Oh, because you don't run a rock move on the Groudon, you actually have a way to damage it for a good consistent amount of damage alongside Power Gem for like Incineroar, which can be a Pokemon that can be able to take attacks and switch in pretty well. It just has a great amount of coverage, even into like Terra, Fire, Calyx, Ice Rider. And then it's just a simple spread. This is just going max speed, max special attack, really focusing on doing as much damage as possible, trying to wall break through all the things like the Grimmsnarl, through stuff like Light Screen, and just able to dish out a ton of damage and doesn't really care if it goes down because it just needs to get the strong hit off. Next up, we have the Assault Vest Iron Hands with the Quark Drive ability, giving it a attack booster when in electric terrain with the Terra Water type with Drain Punch, Low Kick, Wild Charge, and Fake Out. What else to say about Iron Hands? It's just a really bulky Pokemon in general. Assault Vest just allows it to tank special attacks where it has a weaker special defense compared to the rest of its HP and physical defense. But with that, Assault Vest just making up the difference. Iron Hands just able to tank anything that is thrown its way. That Quark Drive when facing a Miraidon team can be really huge and allow the Iron Hands to dish out a ton of damage. And that Water defensive typing is just so good into Calyx Ice Rider against opposing Kyogre teams. It is a very nice thing to have there. With the double fighting coverage, Drain Punch for recovery, Low Kick for stronger damage into the restricted Pokemon, with Wild Charge, which is able to hit the water types, which this team does struggle to hit otherwise, and then Fake Out for the support. With the investment, it did decide to go with max special defense. Again, you want to have as much special defense as possible to take advantage of the Assault Vest and fill in the weakness of its lower special defense stat. It has a decent amount of speed, 52 speed. This allows the Iron Hands Undertale to outspeed base 90s that are neutral nature, for instance Modest Kyogre, so you can go for a Wall Charge before they go for a Water Spout and more. Then you have a good amount of HP alongside 76 with an Adamant Nature to give it an extra attack stat point and 4 in defense remaining. Overall, Iron Hands just a really bulky Pokemon. It's able to do a lot of damage, not really much to say about it. Next Pokemon we have is the red card Sableye, which if opponent does target into Sableye and Sableye is able to survive the hit, it goes for the red card and forces your opponent to swap immediately after that attack, which is interesting. With the Prankster ability, that gives a +1 to any of its status moves, and aka non-attacking moves, with its Steel Terra type, with Foul Play, Will-O-Wisp, Sunny Day, and Gravity. Definitely a bit of a wild card on the Sableye, but yeah, so what does the Sableye do? It's able to go for the Will-O-Wisp support to help with the Ho-Oh's lower physical defense stat. Will-O-Wisp just allows you to take on Pokemon like the Urshifu Rapid Strike. It allows you to take on opposing Iron Hands, Calyx Ice Rider, and just a bunch of physical hitters that are just threatening so much damage. Will-O-Wisp is just really able to help slow them down. You have the Sunny Day, which is able to help against the Tornadus teams that run the Prankster Rain Dance, can help against some Kyogre teams as well. Because you can't get taunted with Sableye as a dark type, you go for the Sunny Day. Sableye is slower than Tornadus, so you always get the Sunny Day after the Torn goes for Rain Dance, so you keep Sun up permanently, which is a very helpful thing. You have that Gravity to support the Groudon. Just make sure your moves are always accurate, as well as drag down any Pokemon that have Levitate or Flying type down to the ground so they can be hit by the ground type attacks. And Foul Play, it will do a lot of damage into Pokemon such as the Shadow Rider Calyx, the Lunala, as well as any strong physical attackers like the Calyx Ice Rider. The red card is just an interesting tech. It can definitely disrupt quite a bit of momentum from your opponent, especially any setups. But yes, it's definitely an interesting item. We don't really see it commonly too much. I actually used red card Amoonguss in the past to get second place at an IC back in 2019. And red card is just an interesting item in general. If you get a Will-O-Wisp off and then they hit the Sableye with the red card, forcing them out could actually allow you to get another Will-O-Wisp off on a physical attacker you want, or could like force a Kyogre out so you don't have to worry about taking too much damage from Water Spout after the Sunny Day is set up. So there's like a lot of ways it could disrupt opponent's momentum, but it's definitely a double-edged sword because sometimes he might have wanted the opponent to not switch out. So it's definitely a strange item in a way, but definitely could surprise quite a few and disrupt some strategies. But mainly in general, the Sableye just, again, more supportive for the team. Sunny Day and Gravity support with the Will-O-Wisp and strong Foul Play. The Terra Steel is able to help out against the Calyx Ice Rider alongside any strong Fairy type options like that Dazzling Gleam from a Miraidon. And the investment, it is a max special defense Sableye, so it can take on Astral Barrage's Moongeist Beams a bit better. Final Pokemon on this team is the Focus Sash Infernape with the Blaze ability, powering up its fire type attacks if left with only a third or less of its health, with a Terra Fire type with Heat Wave, Aura Spear, Fake Out, and Endeavor. A Pokemon many players might not be very well knowledged in, so they might not know about the Endeavor tech on the Infernape. It is a very fast Fake Out user, one of the fastest mons in the game when it comes to Fake Out, base 108 speed and decent attack stats with 104 in both attack and special defense. It's able to do a lot of damage with the sun boosted Heat Waves, the Aura Spear, a good special attack that is able to do quite a bit with the fighting typing, which is able to help out against like Dark Urshifu and is able to do decent damage to like Zamazenta, for instance. You have the Fake Out support, of course, so you could go for fast Tailwind with the Ho-Oh plus Infernape combination. Heat Wave plus Precipice Blades is threatening a lot of damage from a fast combo from Groudon and Infernape against slower things. And of course, that Endeavor could definitely catch opponents off guard and weaken them. So the Ho-Oh can clean up, or anything can clean up after the Endeavor if the Infernape is weakened. It's definitely a wild card right here, like the Sableye, but it can get opponents off guard. Is able to do quite a bit of damage with that Terra Fire, the Blaze, and the Heat Wave. That can actually really add up for some heavy damage, especially with the max special attack investment that this Infernape has, because it's Focus Sash, running max speed as well. And then for an attack, because you really don't care about bulk too much, you have Endeavor. Infernape's already pretty frail Pokemon, so it will go down to most attacks. And of course, you do want a bit of damage with the Fake Out, so that's why you don't run a negative attack stat nature, so you can get the most damage from Fake Out as possible while doing maximum damage with Heat Wave and Aura Spear. So how to use the team overall with this team, I would say it's either just trying to do a lot of strong damage utilizing the Groudon Flutter Mane, trying to get positioning with the Ho under Tailwind with some threats across the board, and trying to Brute Force, because you do have double Fake Out support, you do have Tailwind, you have some really strong choice users, so all you have to do is figure out those positions to get the most amount of damage as possible. You have the Sableye support, of course, with the Gravity and the Sunny Day. Of course, this helps out against the Rain Dance teams. You have the Iron Hands, which is able to tank on the Tornadus, as well as the water type mons like the Urshifu, especially those Kyogre teams. Flutter Mane is just a great mon right now because it's able to really threaten Pokemon like Miraidon Grimmsnarl, and with the really strong combination of Groudon with the Choice Scarf alongside the Speed Booster Flutter Mane and Choice Specs, able to do a ton of damage across the board. Ho is a great defensive pivot, but also can get Tailwind up and do significant damage on its own. And of course, you have that Endeavor possibility with the Infernape, which can catch a knockout by surprise. If you would like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. And let me know what is your favorite Gen 4 starter, because I like all of them. They have so much character. I love all three of them. Infernape, of course, probably one of the better ones in competitive. I am a huge fan. Piplup is my favorite Pokemon, but I do love using Infernape in competitive, especially back in the black and white era with the Gen 5. It was just so much fun to use in 2013 and 2012. Let me know in the comments down below, and let's get started and play some games. Lunala, Incineroar, Miraidon, Urshifu with Grimmsnarl and Ursaluna. This is the team that won the Milwaukee Regional Championship. They have made some differences in the past with this team, so we'll have to figure out if the same items or not. I'm kind of curious on if there are any changes here. What would I want to bring? I don't really like my Sableye. It doesn't really do anything here. I'm gonna forego Sableye. Infernape fast Fake Out's actually pretty good here. Put on offensive pressure. I'm a little bit annoyed about their Urshifu, but I should have some decent tools. I do love my Flutter Mane plus Infernape Bleed. I think is actually really good against my opponent. I do think it's pretty good offensively against my opponent. Yep. And then I think I want to bring Groudon plus... Oh, or is it Groudon plus Iron Hands? I think it's Groudon Ho-Oh. Yeah, I kind of like Ho-Oh a bit more in this matchup as a pivot. I'm trying to think, because I guess Terra Grass is really good here. It really depends on if I can get rid of the Incineroar quickly. because Incineroar is going to be a pretty big threat to my Groudon. And I guess like if it has Flare Blitz, that's kind of thing here. Like if it's Flare Blitz instant, it's actually going to do a ton of damage. I can always deny screens, which is really nice. And then we play a mind game with the Urshifu of, okay, does Terra, do I go for the Dazzling Gleam or maybe a Shadow Ball? I could also go for Terra Fairy Moonblast, which also doesn't seem like a bad play because it probably knocks out Urshifu unless they change the Urshifu to be really bulky and a Terra. So we're going to see Miraidon and the Grimmsnarl, which is actually pretty good for me as I do lead my Fluttermane and Infernape. So this is actually a pretty good lead because I should be able to just threaten a ton of damage across the board immediately into them. So I'm going to go for a... I think my play here, do I want them to get Light Screen up? I don't really mind if they get Light Screen up, I think. Do I want a Terra Fairy immediately? I think the answer is probably not. I think I would be okay with just firing off a Dazzling Gleam here. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of Dazzling. I'm trying to think about my next turn. I think Dazzling Gleam plus Fake Out's correct. Because even if they get Light Screen up, it's not too bad for me. As we see a Terra immediately from my opponents. I'm kind of curious if this is Terra from the Miraidon? It is Terra from the Miraidon. Okay, what Terra are you? Remember when I said they could change sets? I've not seen the Terra Ghost adaptation yet. Okay, that's pretty annoying. All right, so I Fake Out into the Miraidon and they T-Wave immediately. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Discharge. Please get the Gleam off. Okay. That is not awful. That is not awful. So is Lunala coming in? Also Discharge, huh? It didn't care. Well, is that Specs damage? It might be. It did a lot to Flutter, but I can't tell. I'm pretty sure that is Specs. Lunala comes in. I'm gonna make a bit of a crazy play here, and I think it might work out. Oh wait, they could wide guard here. Okay. So I think my play here is to sack the Fluttermane and go for Dazzling Gleam. I'm a bit worried because I think there's two plays that they can make here. They're probably locked into Discharge if I think it's Specs, because I think Ghosted would only work really with Specs. So I'm thinking that this is either them switching out into Ursaluna and Trick Rooming, or what I also think could be a play is just them wide guarding and going for Discharge, which I also think is fair. So I'm going to swap out Infernape to go out into Groudon. Now, there was also a thing I could have done, which was switch out the Fluttermane into Groudon. Ah, they went the Ursaluna route, didn't they? Oh, that's Incineroar, actually. Okay. So it's not Ursaluna, which actually makes this a lot easier. If it was the Ursaluna, I got that completely wrong. But this actually works out pretty decently in my favor. Okay. So I'm able to switch out my Infernape to go out into Groudon. And I'm not Intimidate, which is really nice because I'll actually threaten a knockout into the Incineroar, which is great. I also threaten good damage into the Lunala. We get Photosynthesis. I don't know if the speed booster will allow us to outspeed Lunala. Depends on their investment, but yeah, we are. So we are able to break Shadow Shit, which is really nice, actually. And they go for Moongeist Beam into the Infernape slot. Yeah, into the Infernape slot. Okay. I take a decent chip, but I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is bad. I think I get another Gleam off, and I'm gonna go out into Ho-Oh. Because I don't know if they're gonna go for Fake Out Moongeist Beam again into Groudon. I'm okay with that. I like the idea of just threatening damage with Dazzling Gleam. I don't think they're trying to get Trick 'em up at this point in the game, which is actually really nice. The Incineroar took the Gleam really well, so it's probably Assault Vest, I'd imagine. If it was Assault Vest, that's fine. If they try to Parting Shot out my Groudon, they get... Well, I don't think they would Parting Shot my Groudon because of how likely it could be Clear Ammo on the Groudon, but if they do and greet it, that's pretty bad for them. So I get to go into Ho-Oh. I don't think they're going to Meteor Beam straight up. If they Meteor Beam straight up, really good play on their part. You go for a wide guard. Okay, that makes sense to me. What are you doing with the Incineroar? What are you doing with the Incineroar? Because this is going to be a pretty big turn of what does Incineroar click. So they locked in a wide guard. That's fine. Do Flare Blitz my Groudon. Okay, perfect. So Ho, as you can see, just absolutely is able to tank that. And now we're going to go for another Gleam here. And it's not, it was Electric Seed, so it isn't. Okay, if it's Electric Seed on Lunala, that's fine. I could go for the KO into Incineroar with Brave Bird plus Gleam, I think. Which would be really nice here. Because then I would clean up an endgame Crunch. So I think that's the play here. Since Incineroar doesn't usually run Protect either. They keep going for Wide Guard, which is fine. Because the fact that Lunala is not attacking is a pretty big deal. As we go for the Gleam, it's going to get blocked by the Wide Guard. We get a pretty big Brave Bird off into the Incineroar. Which might have went for U-turn and a Flutter Mane. If they go for U-turn and a Flutter Mane, that's fine by me. Good damage to Incineroar. They go for a knockoff, which is perfect. Okay. Now we just want to Gleam and I want to retreat. Because Infernape's not like super useful. Whole HP might matter in this end game. Although having my own, I mean, it is my special attacker. That's the thing though. I think it's probably just better to go for a Brave Bird. No, Tailwind doesn't change anything here. Sacred Fire and Sun, I don't know if it KOs. I don't think they're going to Wide Guard again, but I think, yeah, I get the Dazzling Gleam off. I get the KO on Incineroar. I'm still going to get good damage to Lunala, which is probably not Trick Room at this point. They're probably taking the KO. Ooh, I get the KO into them. That's massive, actually. That's massive. Although this is just going to be them going for Dazzling Gleam in the end game, but this is fine. Electric Train disappears, so they get to reset it. Okay. Wait, they don't have Dazzling Gleam. We saw Discharge. Oh, the Miraidon's in a weird spot. What do they lock into? I think they just lose, actually, straight up. If they are, yeah, I'm pretty sure they do lose straight up. I mean, I had Choice Scarf Crunch in the back, which is what I was trying to go for the end game cleanup. Like, if they took the knockout, like, I was going to bring Groudon, go for Crunch into the Miraidon, which is going to pick up the knockout that range, right? I mean, I'd assume it would, because they Terra Ghost and they're pretty low. And then I think as long as Flare Mane doesn't get, like, paralyzed multiple times, so Infernape can... So I can go for, like, Dazzling Gleam plus Heat Wave, because I don't think they have the spread move. I'd be able to clean up the game, but yeah, I just win here. Yeah, Battle's gonna be forfeit. They didn't have Dazzling Gleam as a spread move, most likely. Probably Electric Drift, Volt Switch, Discharge, and Draco Meteor. And you can't beat the Flutter Mane plus the Groudon because I have an immunity to both attacks. So yeah, that's kind of thing. If they targeted down my Flutter Mane, like I had Ho still around and I could go for Crunch the next turn and go for like Sacred Fire. So yeah, I was in a pretty decent spot, I think, no matter what happened there. Nice. Lunala Calyx Shadow Rider with Urshifu, Iron Hands, Chi-Yu, and Iron Valiant. Okay. So we have quite a few physical attackers here. We have the Lunala plus the Shadow Rider Calyx combo, which Flutter Mane Groudon absolutely loves here. So I am going to bring the Flutter Mane Groudon lead. I just don't see why it wouldn't. It's such a strong opener. They have 2 Pokemon 4 times weeks to Ghost, and then they have 3 Fairy weeks and no Resist. So seems like a pretty good combo. Since we are bringing Infernape to every game, we will bring Infernape. And then last Pokemon is probably Ho-Oh, I'd imagine. Because even though I kind of like Iron Hands in the matchup, I kind of don't at the same time because it only really beats the Urshifu. And maybe the Chi. Maybe is a strong question mark. So I think this is what we're going to go. Terra-wise, I'm not exactly 100% certain, but I just like Flutter Mane is a good opener, right? Like, Flutter Mane puts on so much pressure with that speed booster, the Choice Specs damage. We have a Choice Scarf Groudon with Crunch for a double up as well. So let's see what they decide to lead here. Going to be the Shadow Rider Calyx plus the Urshifu. Okay. The thing is, the Urshifu's not threatening enough damage, and now I can go for I think Gleam Precipice Blade just clears the board. I think Gleam Precipice Blades clears the board. I'm like pretty confident it does, and if I get rid of these Pokemon, that's pretty massive here. So I think I'm just gonna do that because I don't need my Terra on my Ho-Oh if I knock out the Urshifu. Well, I guess there's like Iron Hand still in the back, but like I don't really mind that when I have a Groudon still available, right? I think we just go for Precipice Blades Gleam because they have no Terra that really covers for both, right? Because any defensive Terra here, unless the Shadow Rider is super bulky, there's nothing that lives a Dazzling Gleam plus a Precipice Blades from this Scarf Groudon that we're going to be throwing out. So we go for the Terra Fairy. It shows as much damage as possible. No protects. The Aqua Jet immediately into the Flutter. Oh my god, it's Scarf. I'm glad I Terra Fairy because I should live one. Yep, perfect. But we really need to hit Blade specifically into that Calyx because if we don't, we probably lose. So Gleam gonna do a lot of damage, which is nice. They probably were trying to cover for Sash Flutter on this team if I didn't Terra, which makes sense. And we land a Blade, so that's beautiful. We get a double knockout here. We took a lot more damage than I anticipated from the start, but I don't think this is an awful position. I do have to watch out though, because what's in the back? If it's Iron Hands plus the Lunala, I'm a little bit concerned. It's Chi-Yu in the back, which Beads of Ruin is helping out a lot here. And Lunala, okay. They haven't Terra'd yet, which is the issue. Are they gonna Wide Guard Heat Wave? I feel like Wide Guard Heat Wave makes so much sense here. I think the place to go Ho-Oh and click Blades, because if you're Scarf, you're gonna go for Wide Guard here. I think you go for Wide Guard regardless, but let's see. I don't need Groudon anymore. Ho-Oh should be able to eat up the Heat Wave, no problem. And then we'll figure out the rest from there. Oh, protect Chi-Yu. So it's not Scarf. That's good to know, actually. Okay, as we go for Blades. I don't know if we confirmed we're Scarf because they don't know the information as we get the Precipice Blades off. Good damage. Trick Room comes out. Okay, so they're going to reveal the Trick Room here. I think it's okay though because Ho should be able to absorb the attack just fine at the current moment. The problem is navigating through this Trick Room, because we do have to watch out for how much damage these Pokemon are going to do, but I do feel like I just go for a Precipice Blades here and a Protect. Try to bring in Infernape and threaten to Fake Out into Chi-Yu. So I can go for like a Fake Out Brave Bird. I could go for Fake Out Sacred Fire. I need to scout for the Meteor Beam. And since they revealed a Terra, that's actually really good for me, because then I don't have to worry about Terra in the future turns. We're going to see Terra from the Chi-Yu go into Terra Fire, so they are really just trying to brute force right here. Okay. Is this Heat Wave plus Meteor Beam? I wouldn't be surprised if so. Protect the Ho-Oh. Heat Wave comes out. Interesting to Chi-Yu slower. Okay, they hit. If they missed, it was probably game over for them because they probably targeted a Ho-Oh. Goodbye, Groudon. And a Moongeist Beam. Okay, that doesn't confirm if they have Meteor Beam, so I'm still really scared, actually. I have to go Infernape. I think we're in a good spot to win if we can call what the Chi-Yu does. If the Chi-Yu protects, I'm pretty sure I could Brave Bird Fake Out and KO it. But if the Chi-Yu isn't, I'm in a bit of trouble. Because I'd have to go for a Heat Wave and no Lunala and switch out my Ho-Oh into Flutter, or I'd have to Sacred Fire, double up the Lunala. So this is kind of an interesting mind game right here. I'm not sure which one is correct because it really depends. I feel like Fake Out's obvious, but I'm gonna go for Sacred Fire Heat Wave, I think. Nice. Okay, they protected. That's good. That's a good start. That's a good start. Oh, it should be faster than Lunala, I'm hoping. Oh, no, but they go for Moongeist Beam instead. So This is a sun boosted Heat Wave and a sun boosted Sacred Fire. So I think I do good damage here to the Lunala. Yeah, I do absolutely good damage. And Heat Wave, I just need to hit. I just need to hit. I'm really surprised it's not Meteor Beam. I'm really surprised it's not Meteor Beam. Unless they were worried about me scouting, which I did debate about. So I guess that could have been a thing. Or they just don't have it. Maybe it's just like Moonblast or something. But that works out pretty well for me. So I get to go out into my turns. Okay. So this is super ideal. I go out into the Flutter Mane to sacrifice it, and I go for an Endeavor into the Chi-Yu because they're probably just going to go for Heat Wave. I'm not risking crit Heat Wave knockout to Ho, which I don't know if it KOs, but it's just such a safe measure here to go for the Endeavor and sack the Flutter here anyway. They go for Heat Wave. Yeah, because it just brings Infernape to Sash. Then we get the Endeavor off, so now the Chi is just always going to go down to the Brave Bird from Ho-Oh. So that worked out really well. Okay, nice. Maybe I should have expected something like a Scarf Calyx Shadow Rider, which is how strange this duo is. And they can't really rely on speed ties, I felt like. Endeavor, the Sun Wave fades out, so we are going to be able to bring out our Ho-Oh. And Heat Wave will never KO my Ho-Oh. Even if a crit, if they go for Dark Pulse, they go down to Infernape attack. We go for a Brave Bird. And we go for an Aura Spear. And that is going to be a good game as they go for the Heat Wave, and Infernape dodges. Infernape not going down. Unfortunately, it won't get the final KO, but we are going to be able to win. And Infernape was actually a huge part because we actually needed that Heat Wave damage on Lunala, that fake out pressure to force the Chi-Yu to protect. I mean, it was a mind game because, again, if they attacked with the Chi-Yu, I think the best play was to click fake out Brave Bird. If they decide, hey, I'm going to go for the protect, the best play was to double Lunala with a Sacred Fire plus Heat Wave. And luckily, it super worked out for me because that was really important. We have Iron Valiant, Miraidon, Entei, Calyx Ice Rider, Ting Lu, and Urshifu. All right, some interesting takes. Miraidon and Ting Lu, very interesting. But Ting Lu, I guess, is going to be their counter to opposing Miraidon, which makes sense. I do like fake out pressure a lot. Fake out pressure is good. Flutter Mane is also really good against this team. They have a bunch of Fairy Weeks. I'm trying to figure out like what my best lead is here. Groudon's pretty good offensively as a lead. I like Groudon. I like Flutter Mane. I don't really need the... I mean, Sableye is nice with Will-O-Wisp, but that's... I don't think that's the play, though. Yeah, I don't think that's the play. I think it's Flutter Mane. Or is it Flutter Mane? I mean, the thing about Flutter Mane is I don't need it to win. Groudon and Infernape is actually not bad here at all. Ah, this is so tricky. You know, I'm going to do Groudon Flutter Mane. I'm going to bring Infernape because we are trying to bring Infernape and Ho-Oh. Like, I was trying to figure out, okay, is there a route I could go for that involves like Will-O-Wisp support with Sableye to make the Calyx Ice Rider life easier so Ho-Oh can win? But I think it's really difficult to because of the fact that there is the Miraidon in back. And then I also have to worry about like some other factors like the... Ting Lu having Stone Edge on this team for some reason. Okay, we're gonna see Miraidon plus Cali Ice. This is gonna be a really interesting turn one because a lot of this is gonna come down to what's the speed on the Miraidon. It's Choice Scarf Miraidon. Okay, how do I know it's Choice Scarf Miraidon? They reveal it because of the fact that it went before my Groudon's Drought. So I don't think they can take a knockout on Groudon, but I don't think they can take a knockout otherwise. I don't see a problem with going for Precipice Blades and Shadow Ball into Calyrex. It's gonna be really rough though if the Glacial turn one. But I think we can't Terra here, unfortunately. I'm gonna Shadow Ball and go for Precipice Blades as they do Volt Switch. Yep, we shouldn't get knocked out because this Scarf. Yep. But they did Terra to Calyx, so this is taking a lot from Shadow Ball. Are they going out into Ting Lu? Because if they don't go into Ting Lu, I think this Calyx goes down to Shadow Ball. So that's an interesting start. Okay. Oh, that's Entei. What is this start? Electric Seed Entei? What are we looking at right here? This is a Spec Shadow Ball and a Calyrex. Does a lot of damage. It's not a knockout. Precipice Blaze does connect though on both. Doesn't KO, but that's still big damage. They do go for the Glacial. Unfortunately, I am losing both Pokemon here most likely. Oh, Groudon survives actually, which is really nice. Okay. I'll take that. They also don't know I'm Scarf with my Groudon. So we're going to go out into our Infernape. We're going to click a Heat Wave, and I think we just draw off a Precipice Blades because I think low health on this Groudon just means nothing for the remainder of the game. So I think I just go for Precipice Blades and I just go for a Heat Wave. Yeah, and I think this is fine. And I think I want to set up Tailwind and Heat Wave the next turn because if Cali Ice protects, we get a free switch. Nice. They go for Extreme Speed. I kind of wish the Cali protected, but this works out. Maybe the Cali Ice is Assault Vest because it did take that extremely well. We don't knock out the Entei, which is a bit unfortunate, but it still works out in our favor. Oh, I might have to make a read the next turn actually, because this is going to be Miraidon coming in, right? Yeah, there should be Miraidon coming in. This is going to be rough. I think I needed to KO the Entity with Heat Wave there. I actually think I did. I couldn't let Trick Room go up, so I had to Heat Wave, but I really needed to KO. Or maybe I needed to switch out to Ho-Oh since they had that extreme speed pressure, but I wasn't sure. All right, they bring out the Miraidon. I think your play is just to always Volt Switch my... I think it's always to Volt Switch my... I just don't think I beat the Miraidon 1v1. I think we Sacred Fire to Entei and we click Heat Wave here. I think what they're going to do is Extreme Speed and Volt Switch my Infernape. Oh, they protected. Oh, they Electro Drifted. Oh, that's smart too, actually. Because I couldn't really punch and knock out Miraidon. I thought they were going to go for Extreme Speed plus Volt Switch and Infernape, because Infernape's a Pokemon that doesn't get Protect. They get the Scout for the Ho-Terra, and then they can lock into Miraidon accordingly. That's also smart. I think I gotta hope for a miss from the Entei. I kind of wish I endeavored the Miraidon now, because I thought they were always clicking Extreme Speed. They're clicking Extreme Speed now, probably plus a Electro Drift, or they're gonna go like they have quite a few plays. They get Electro Drift, Sacred Fire if they want, but I do have to always Terra to Ho-Oh here. The problem with Terra to Ho-Oh is I get pinned by whatever's in the back because I no longer resist. Yeah, they Extreme Speed my Infernape. If I endeavor there, I probably have a better chance of winning depending on what the last is. Electro Drift. I was about to say, where's the animation? Okay. If like last month's Ting Lu, there might be a small sliver of winning. Or maybe if it's Iron Valiant, I can win. But otherwise, it's looking really bad. It's Urshifu, so they just close combat Electro Drift. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's Dark Urshifu too. I thought Shadow Ball Blaze was gonna get the KO into the Cali Ice. It did not KO the Cali Ice. Well, I felt like I would have forced a Terra from them at the very least. But I think my misplay here was not switching out the Groudon into the Ho-Oh. I thought about switching into the E-Speed, but I felt like Groudon was always going to get pinned. I guess I should have just had it anyway, because then it just like allowed this Miraidon to really be a nuisance. But yeah, I also wasn't expecting to protect from the Entei. I kind of committed a bit aggressively. Like, I think if that's the case, I should always just go for Extreme Speed into, or not Extreme Speed, Endeavor into the Miraidon. But even if I Endeavored, I think like the long term was still gonna, I was losing the Dark Urshifu. I had like no counterplay to Dark Urshifu afterward, because Infernape was just low at that point and I didn't have enough resources. So a bit tricky on that one. I think lead wise it wasn't great. Yeah, like it's hard to say what I could have exactly brought to bring. I guess I would have had to brought Iron Hands. I think Iron Hands was kind of needed in that matchup. If it's Dark Urshifu, then I definitely probably needed Hands over like something else. Zacian, Kyogre, Iron Jugulus, Chien-Pao, Infernape, and Rillaboom. This is going to be a really tough one. And I mean a very tough one. All right, let's see how we're going to position this. So do I want to bring the Sableye is the question. I do have access to Willis, which would be really nice to help out against the Zacian. Otherwise, it's not 100% necessary. Infernape plus Ho is not a bad lead here. And I do actually kind of like it offensively. I like Iron Hands a lot, especially as a mon in the... I don't know. I kind of want to lead Iron Hands, but at the same time, I don't. I feel like what I want to Terra, because I would like to Terra Hands to take on the Kyogre, but it doesn't help with Rillaboom around. I think I bring Groudon. Like, I feel like if I want to play optimally in this matchup, it would be leave the Infernape behind, bring the Sableye, bring Iron Hands, Ho, and Groudon. But, you know, sometimes we do have to bring the Infernape. And I don't think Infernape is bad with a Ho lead. I actually don't think it's bad with the Ho lead, because I can go for Fake Out, assuming it's not Covert Cloak or Terra Ghost on the Kyogre. Threaten, Fake Out, Tailwind, or a lot. But the big issue is going to be Jugulus is actually kind of tough, because I feel like a lot of these comps run Taunt. So I can't really bring Sunny Day Sableye into this. And we're going to see Iron Jugulus Kyogre right off the bat. So, all right. So I could have let Iron Hands here, and Iron Hands would have been fantastic, but I don't think this is an awful spot to be in. I go Groudon. I think I like the idea of going Groudon and clicking a Fake Out into the Kyogre. Just don't be Terra Ghost. Just don't be Terra Ghost or Covert Cloak. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Bring out the Groudon. Get the sun up. If they go for Hurricane, it's 50% accurate. You get the Fake Out off into Kyogre. I could have went for Brave Bird too. You do see Tailwind come out, which is acceptable. Okay, they flinch. Good. I don't know what their double up is here, but I do like the idea of just going into Iron Hands now that the sun is up, and we're gonna try to get an Endeavor off into the Kyogre, because if this is Rain Dance Jugulus, because I have seen Rain Dance Jugulus been brought, they could go for Rain Dance plus a Water Spout. I hope this isn't Snarl. I would hope this is Hurricane. We see Kyogre Retreat too, which also works, especially if Jugulus attack the Infernape. This is Pow coming in, so I should be able to break the Sash on Pow, which is nice. And Iron Hands is in a good offensive position, so I actually kind of like this. Nice. So they do go for the Hurricane into my Infernape, which does bring me down to my Focus Sash, but I will be able to get Endeavor in response into the Pow. No confusion, thankfully. Chien-Pao is brought down low, which is really good. Okay. I'm also threatening Fake Out pressure as well. So this is a pretty decent turn here. I like the idea. Should I Terra Water here? I don't think they brought Rillaboom in the back. They probably brought... Oh, did they bring Zacian? I feel like they should have. So I guess this is a Terra Water angle. I like the idea of just wall charging the Jugulus and going to go out into my Ho-Oh. And I like that a lot. So Xianpao is going to retreat, which is nice. What's coming in? Zacian. That means they're probably attacking with Jugulus into my Infernape slot, and this actually works out pretty nice for me because I am going to be able to, if they don't Terra, I do get the wall charge into Jugulus, and that's a pretty big attack off into Iron Jugulus here. So we do confirm all 4 Mons, which is nice. We do bring out our Ho-Oh in response. Terra Water is on our side, so it looks like they didn't Terra their Jugulus. If I do get the knockout into Iron Jugulus, that means no Tailwind up for the rest of the game, which means Scarf Groudon's looking really clean to sweep potentially. So this is nice. This is really nice. They go for Snarl. Okay, perfect. I don't really take that much damage. Don't have to worry about confusion. Wall charge going to come out into the Jugulus and pick up the knockout. Fantastic. Great sequence of 3. The 3 turns have been perfect. 3 turns have been perfect for what I've gotten. So that's solid. All right. Now it's just converting it into a win. Kyogre is going to come out, which is perfectly fine. Last turn of Tailwind on their side. Do I want to sack Infernape? I feel like sacking Infernape is better than me taking a bunch of damage with hands. I think it's time. I think we protect and swap here so we can get a free switch to Groudon and go for Precipice Blades and threaten the huge amount of damage and force the Terra. Because like right now, I don't know if they can even knock out the hands, but if they do have a defensive Terra, they have to go for it now exactly like this. The Zacian Terras, which means the Kyogre will be vulnerable to Wall Charge. They go for Play Rough to power up the Play Rough, so Play Rough Water Spout might have KO'd my hands. Now they don't have that option anymore, so that's actually really good. As we go for the Protective Ho-Oh. And they go for the Play Rough into my Infernape, which will pick up the knockout, but I didn't need Infernape now, so this is looking really solid here. As they go for Water Spout. Yep, okay. Nice. Really nice. Tailwind peters out. We get to bring out Groudon. I want to double check. My hands has speed or no? It does have speed. It does have... Unfortunately, we don't guarantee confirm outspeed Kyogre. On the positive side, we know the Kyogre isn't Choice Scarf, or most likely it's not Choice Scarf because the Zacian outsped the Kyogre and went for the Play Rough before the Water Spout happened. We bring out the Groudon. Precipice Blades is safe. Now the question is, do I want a Sacred Fire or do I want a Brave Bird? I kind of want a Sacred Fire to Zacian because I don't think there's a way Kyogre can pick up a knockout. And if we get the knockout on Zacian, the Kyogre is stuck in the sun, right? Which means that it can't do any damage to Iron Hands unless they have Thunder, but they have to rely on hitting a Thunder through 50% accuracy. So they're going to retreat, and this is really good for me because I do get the Precipice Blades off into the Zacian. Oh, they could have protected, so I should have maybe went for Tailwind here. Yeah, I should have went for Tailwind here. Oh, no, they stay in. Okay, so I get the Precipice Blades off. I do take the knockout into Pal, so Pal goes down, and I'm able to get some good damage into Zacian. Hopefully a knockout on Zacian. A knockout on Zacian would be fantastic. As we see Blade come out into the Groudon. Place it to Sacred Fire Ho-Oh. Nice. Okay, goodbye Zacian. Zacian goes down, and now we get to click Blades, protect, and then Iron Hand should win this end game. Should. I think if we hit 1 Blades in the Kyogre, we can confirm the win. Because this is single target Blades coming out into the Kyogre right here. So we have a very good shot of winning. So we go for the Precipice Blades, a single target. We protect our Ho-Oh. They are going to go for like Origin Pulse or Water Spout or whatever water move they want to click here. Okay, we're not going to guarantee to win, but we still have a really good chance of winning. They went for Water Spout too, so unfortunate for me. We confirmed it wasn't Covert Cloak Kyogre earlier, and we know they already Terra, so they can't Terra Ghost the Kyogre. I get to go Iron Hands. I get to click Fake Out. I get to get a Tailwind setup. And then I can go for Brave Bird Wall Charge the next turn. And Right now, the only ways it looks like I'm gonna lose this game is if it's Timid Kyogre with Thunder and a full pair of my Iron Hands. I think that's the only way I lose. Kaelin gives me the best odds to give me the win, and they forfeit, so probably not Thunder Kyogre. Whew. I feel like I played that one insane. Because I don't think Kyogre is a very fun matchup for this team, especially because I did bring a bunch of water weeks, but thankfully I just got like a lot of the early turns right and set myself for a great position. Maybe I should click Tailwind that one turn, but it ended up working out really well, right? Because I was still able to get, because I called the Zacian attacking, and because the Zacian attacked, I was able to get a huge amount of damage. And since the Kyogre switched to get the rain reset, I was able to get the big blades out to KO the POW, and that was massive, as well as the huge damage to knock out the Zacian. And the Iron Hands were set up for success once the Zacian went down. So that's what I aimed for. Maybe I could have Tailwinded it. Tailwind might have been a better play, but it could have came down to some, again, blades hitting and some other stuff. Lunala, Indeedee, Urshifu, Zamazenta, Dragonite, and Ogerpon Heartflame. Okay, so I don't think there's any Rain Dance, which is nice. Dragonite with no POW is very interesting. The Lunala is going to be a bit of a tough one because they have Psychic Terrain, and I don't have any terrain removers. That's going to be a bit of a tricky one. I think it's probably going to be Scarfurge then. With Scarfurge, that's kind of hard to play around. If it's Meteor Beam Lunala, that's also tricky. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong against this team. I think Sableye, is it worth it? I can't whisk the Zamazenta because there's no terrain. That's my problem. I think I gotta lead my offensive Sun mode with Groudon plus Flutter because I think I need fast offense, especially if they lead Urshifu. I definitely need this. I think Infernape in the back is good. And Ho-Oh. I am forced to bring the Infernape to every game I can, and I do think that this is, I mean, it's okay, right? It outspeeds Lunala, Heat Wave puts on a bit of pressure. The problem is I can't tell if this is Trick Room build, if this is just offense. And the movesets are going to be really important here too. A Lunala plus the Ogerpon, which is an interesting lead against my Groudon and my Flutter. Okay. I don't think they Wide Guard turn one. I really don't think so. Well, actually, Precipice Blades is kind of obvious, but you have to worry about Shadow Ball. So I feel like you would just take the Shadow Ball. Unless you want to Terra Water your Flood. You want to Terra Water the... Terra Water immediately? Or Terra the Lunala in general. I feel like it should be fair on this team. I think I'm just gonna go for Heat Crash and Shadow Ball and get as much damage as I possibly can. No Terra and no Follow Me. I get a Shadow Ball. I KO'd the Lunala through the shield. That's what happens when you don't respect the Flutter. We do get a Heat Crash off into the Ogerpon. That's a good amount of damage right there. Yeah, that's a good amount of damage. It went from Woodhammer into Groudon, but I think Groudon did the job I needed to do. It takes the recoil with the Ogerpon, and it just goes down. This is what happens when you play super greedy like that. I don't think they expected specs, though. I really don't think they did. What were the other options? They have an Indeedee, they have a Zamazenta, they have an Urshifu. What was the last that they could bring? Dragonite. Considering all those options, I think it's best to go... It's probably best to go Ho-Oh. Or do I use Ho as a pivot? And I think I bring in Ho-Oh. Indeedee gonna come out. Is Zamazenta? If it's Zamazenta, they just lose, right? I think if it's just Zamazenta, they just lose. No, that's Dragonite. Okay. So they do have a way back in this game. All right. We're going to go for Sacred Fire. We're going to target down to Indeedee. And we're going to go out into Infernape. So this is going to be a tough one. I think, well, Dragonite shouldn't Terra. They could Terra here, I guess, if they Terra normal. I don't know if they want to Terra normal yet. We're going to bring out our Infernape so we can switch moves. Scale Shot revealed here. Okay. Yeah, this is nowhere near over. Okay, good to know. That does so much damage. Ooh, they got the 5-hitter as well. Oh, and Scale Shot's gonna do a lot to Infernape as well. It breaks through my sash. This is not good. I get the Sacred Fire off into the Entity. Good damage. Psychic into my Infernape. Okay. I think it's gonna come down to some reads. I'm gonna try to get Flutter. I think I have to read where the Dragonite's attacking. If the Dragonite attacks into my Ho-Oh, do I even live? Scale Shot if I swap here? That did almost 75%. If they get the 4-hitter, I do, I suppose. I think we go Flutter and we click Heat Wave. Or should I just Sacred Fire? Well, they Terra the Dragonite, right? Because they don't want to lose the multi-scale. I don't think they want to lose the multi-scale, but we'll see. We're not multi-scale. They got okay. We do catch the Scale Shot. Nice. Heatwave, please land on the Entity. Please land on the Entity. Okay, we missed the Dragonite. We hit the Entity. That's a more important target, realistically. Because if I lost Infernape there, then it's a 2v2, and I think that's way worse than this 3v1, even though I didn't break scale on Dragonite. So now we can go for a Moonblast and we can go for Endeavor, and I really like this spot because the Dragonite has to choose who it's targeting. Why are they not going for Terra? I get a Moonblast off, I get huge damage, and they Scale Shot my Infernape. So Infernape goes down. What Terra is this Dragonite that they just refuse to Terra? I mean, they get another speed boost, but I'm pretty sure Ho-Oh plus Flutter cleans up the game because I go for Brave Bird and I go for Moonblast, and there's no way they can live either attack. You know, if this is Rock Slide Dragonite and they flinch my Flutter, sure, I'll give that to him. Is this the last turn of Sun? It is the last turn of Sun. Okay. I'm going to go for Moonblast into the Dragonite, and I'm going to go for Tailwind. Because if this is Rock Slide Protect Dragonite, for some random reason, they protect the Dragonite to then Rock Slide flinch my Flutter afterward because they outspeed. Because +2 Dragonite doesn't outspeed Fluttermane in the Sun because Dragonite hits maximum speed 145, which means that ×2, that's 290, which means Flutter that hits like 306. Was it like 307 in Sun, something like that, means I always outspeed the Dragonite. So yeah, don't have to worry about that. Why did they not Terra? I'm just shocked that they refused to Terra. Like, I think if they Terra, the game was a lot harder. They could have I guess they don't have multi-scale, so it was inner focus. Maybe that's the reason why. But even then, like, what type would it be? Are you Terra Dragon? Like, I don't know. All right, I forgot to record the rating because I was typing it and I didn't realize I wasn't recording it. But we have number 21 on ladder with Miraidon, Lunala, Whimsicott, Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Sinnoh. Okay. Okay, this is... They have the standard balance core. They have... I think this is the Calm Mind Lunala stuff. So Calm Mind Lunala is a little bit tough. Calm Mind Lunala can be a bit tough. Fluttermane is threatening a lot of offense immediately, which is cool. I like Fluttermane plus Infernape, which seems like a pretty strong lead here. And then I think Groudon plus Ho is pretty reasonable. Iron Hands is decent, but I don't think it's necessary. Sableye, I don't really need against this team. Like, I guess Wisp would be nice into Urshifu, but they don't have Rain Dance on this team, so I'm really not as concerned. Foul Play could pressure the Lunala, but since it's Calm Mind, most likely, I don't have to worry about Moonblast. So, let's see. I like the idea of putting on pressure with the Flutter as much as possible because that is a good thing here. We're going to see the combination of Lunala and Incineroar versus my Infernape and my Flutter Mane. So I should be forcing a Terra on the Lunala on the immediate turn, which is pretty good here. Because I should be able to threaten a ton of damage. Terra-wise, I don't need my Terra on anything. I guess I could Terra to Ho-Oh. It's not necessary, but I could. I could switch out a Ho-Oh to take a Moongeist Beam. But we would be taking a lot of damage, which I don't exactly appreciate. So I think my play here is just to go for a Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam and to go for a fake out into the Incineroar. Actually, I would want to fake out the Lunala because it definitely Terras here, or they protect, which is also fair. Actually, no point of going for the Terra then. I'm going to fake out Dazzling Gleam. If I expect a Terra, oh, they did not Terra. They did not Terra. You fake out my Infernape. Man, I could have got a Spec Shadow Ball off. That would have been massive here. I am losing my Flutter Mane turn 1 as I played that super greedily. Because I thought they were going to be scared of taking a lot of damage from Spec Shadow Ball. That did not work out well. Okay. Can I come back in this game? Yeah, sure. I definitely can. I'm going to go out into my Groudon and go for the super strong Precipice Blades, and they don't really have a switch, which is good. So I can go for Precipice Blades, and I can go for a Heat Wave. That would do a ton of damage in the sun. I could also go for the Crunch if I expect Lunala to attack here, but they might go out into Rillaboom Protect. I mean, I don't think that would be the play, but that could be an option that they have here. I could also go for like Crunch and Heat Wave here, which isn't the worst option. But I would like to get rid of Incineroar if they allow me to get rid of Incineroar. So I think I'm just going to go for Heat Wave and Precipice Blades. Get as much damage as I possibly can. Because Incineroar switching out, which is cool, into the Whimsicott. So I do get a knockout, which is nice. Assume I hit moves. And they protected. So I didn't lose any momentum here. So that works out pretty well for me. Okay. So I am able to get a Heat Wave off and a Precipice Blades. That's some pretty good damage across the board. I hope this isn't Sash Whimsicott, because this only matters if it's Sash Whimsicott, because then they can Tailwind, which would not be great. Okay, we land a Heat Wave into the Whimsicott. It is Sash. Unfortunate. Okay. Yeah, we saw his leftovers Lunala. I think that this is an angle to just click Precipice Blades into and swap out Infernape to go out into Ho-Oh. Because we want to pivot. We want to pivot for sure. I think having Infernape around is still going to have some value. I'm glad that I went for Precipice Blades instead of Crunch, because then the Lunala would just tear it, and then it would have been an ugly situation next turn. We bring out the Ho-Oh. But they do get Tailwind up, which is kind of rough, because my Groudon was designed to outspeed the Miraidon and back, but now we don't have that option. They go for the Moongeist Beam. This is probably going out into my... Yep, Infernape. They were trying to pin. That did nothing, which is nice. We do get a Blades off, so we do KO the Whimsicott, and we get decent damage into the Lunala. Okay, perfect. So it's not been super ideal turns, but it's manageable. Who's coming out? Incineroar, or are they bringing out the Miraidon? Probably Miraidon. Miraidon's going to be threatening now. Oh, they bring out Incineroar. Okay, interesting. I'll take it. They know I'm clear aiming on the hull, so I guess they could to confirm that. I don't see a problem with Precipice Blading and going for a Tailwind here, because we know it's not Meteor Beam because it was leftovers on the Lunala. I guess I could Sacred Fire too, because I actually want that damage into Lunala. They could protect and go for like an aggressive knockoff play though. I kind of like the Tailwind. Actually, no. I like that idea of taking... Trying to figure about the... No, actually, no. I do like the Tailwind more. I want to get the Sacred Fire in the Lunala, but I think it's better to get the Tailwind off if we can. They fake out my Ho, which is fine. They get a Calm Mind up. That's acceptable. All right. I am able to get a Precipice Blades off still into their team. I'm still going to do massive damage. Yep, we get good damage off here. Good damage. Okay. All right. I don't think this is bad. We are going to go Infernape for the Groudon slot because I'm a bit worried if Moongeist Beam actually KOs my Groudon now, and I think it does. And I think we want to go for Tailwind. Yeah. I think we live a Moongeist Beam. I don't think we'll live a Moongeist Beam in a knockoff. So there could be some raids here. They still don't know my item on Groudon, and I feel like they want damage into Groudon. Unless for some reason it's not Miraidon. It might not be Miraidon back. But they might have just decided to go instant to play safe because they didn't know like what Terra I am if they don't know the team. So bring out my Infernape on hopefully a Moongeist Beam. Oh, they protect. That's really good for me because I get the Tailwind off. And then I can threaten the Sacred Fire. That's really good. Oh, they go for Flare Blitz into my Ho-Oh. Okay. Sure. As we get the Tailwind off. Okay, this is not bad. This is not bad. This is where it gets tricky. I do want to fire off the Heat Wave. Actually, there's no punish to me going for Heat Wave Protect. Yeah, there's no punish to me going for Heat Wave Protect here, actually. Because if they KO my Infernape, that's not that big of a deal. I get a free switch to Groudon to Threats and Precipice Blades. If they decide, hey, I'm gonna... switch out Lunala into Miraidon. Why did Lunala switch out? I think Groudon will win if I set this up properly, and I think I did, but not what I expected. I go for the Protect with the Ho-Oh. The Heat Wave, please. Okay. All we needed to really hit was the Incineroar, but we love extra damage into Miraidon too. And then Tailwind appears out from their side. So I guess they're trying to stall out the Tailwind. We do have Scarf Groudon. I don't know if they know we have Scarf Groudon back though. We're going to go for an Aura Spear into the Miraidon. Because they're not going to Terra this turn. They're going to save the Terra for my Groudon. Is it Scarf Miraidon? Because like the only way I see this working out for them is Scarf. But even if it's Scarf, they would have to Draco to KO. But Draco doesn't KO my Groudon. I'm going to Brave Bird the Lunala and just Aura Spear. Okay, I get damage, no protects. Nice. I think everything's in range of Blades. So all I have to do is hit the Blades. Ooh, didn't KO the Lunala, but that's all right. They go for Draco Meteor. I think it is Specs. Does Moongeist Beam even KO? Well, definitely, because I'm naive nature. I should go down to Moongeist Beam. They went for Calm Mind. I just gotta hit a move with Groudon. That's all I need to do is hit a move with Groudon. I think we go for the Heat Wave and we go for the Terrifier Heat Wave here. Do we Terrifier Heat Wave or do we Terra? No, we Heat Wave and Terra ground high horsepower, I think. Yes, I think that's correct. I actually don't know which one should have Terra. Like, I'm trying to figure out what gives me the most mathematical odds of winning. I think the high horsepower Terra Ground is always the play because I'll knock out the Miraidon with Terra Ground high horsepower no matter the Terra, as long as it's not like flying or grass or some weird Terra like that. But we do see the Terra come out from the Miraidon. I mean, it's still taking a Heat Wave. Maybe I should have went for Terra Fire, Heat Wave, and Sun. Terra Ghost, okay. So this works out. This works out. They protect Lunala, so this is a really good chance to win here. We do land the Terra Ground high horsepower to take the knockout into the Miraidon. And as long as we don't miss every single move that's about to happen, which is high horsepower and Heat Wave, we should win the game because Lunala most likely can't knock out Infernape and Groudon with his Dazzling Gleam. So they have to Moongeist Beam. So I don't think a crit Dazzling Gleam at +1 will knock out the Groudon full HP. They have to go for this attack into, well, they have to hit, they have to land. I think Heat Wave and Sun definitely KOs Lunala. I don't care if it's +1. Heat Wave should definitely KO. They're gonna forfeit and not even take the odds. I mean, they have odds. They're slim, but they have odds. Like, I've double missed Icy Wind before. Granted, I think they need 3 95% aggregates to miss because they need both of them to miss on that turn. Then they need the next one to land. Although if it's hard to Groudon and knock it out with Moongeist Beam, I think if you get enough leftovers recover, you can maybe live the Heat Wave from the Infernape, but nice. Very nice. Whew. All right, let's go over the games. In game 1, the Terra Ghost Miraidon made this a very bad turn 1 start, but somehow was just able to crawl back by doing a lot of damage as the Lunala just wasn't able to pick up enough KOs, and I was just able to threaten them with some fast offense, especially from the Fluttermane Dazzling Gleam that was just building up against the opponent, and they didn't get like any speed control factors. I was just able to outspeed and finish them off. In game 2, a decent start, but wasn't expecting to take heavy damage from the Choice Scarf Calyrex Shadow Rider. However, was able to get the read right on the Chi Protect to knock out the Lunala with the double up and then focus the remaining 1v3 again. In game 3, this was a strange one, but I guess I needed to Terra Ground the Groudon to knock out the Calyrex Ice Rider. Wasn't expecting them not to Terra and was expecting the KO without the Terra since the double up, which they either were a speedy Assault Vest Ice Rider with no bulk or an Ice Rider with a lot of special bulk, since the min roll I do with Shadow Ball with my Fluttermane is a 73%, which is about what I did against a max HP and let's say 132 special defense Calyrex Ice Rider. So I guess I needed to switch out the Groudon for Ho-Oh, but I think I was still losing to Dark Shifu then. So I guess the only thing I really could have done was I probably needed Iron Hands over the Infernape in this game. In game 4, got a lot of the early turns right to put myself in a great spot against this Kyogre team. Only turn I could have made a possible safer play is Tailwind instead of the Sacred Fire into the Zacian, but if I get the knockout in the Zacian, I'm still set up into a great endgame spot for Iron Hands to win, and that's exactly what happened. So it really just came down to does Zacian protect or not. It might have been able to mitigate, but of course there is the factor that there could be double protects and then the Kyogre could get a bit out of control, so it wasn't exactly 100% safe. Maybe I could have Brave Bird as well for not being greedy, but I thought I needed the damage because I wasn't sure about how much Blades was doing. In game 5, I'm shocked with how turn 1 worked out for me, but got a huge double knockout immediately and no Terra from the Dragonite alongside me calling where the Scale Shot was going to go allowed me to win this game. In game 6, I went very overboard with the fake out into Lunala to try to call a Terra and I lost my Fluttermane on the spot. Luckily, I was able to play aggressive with my Ho-Oh and Groudon to do a lot of damage while they weren't able to take any knockouts in response. So how was Infernape? Not too bad, not too bad. It was more of a supporter Pokemon, so it wasn't really going to be able to sweep games. And of course, if you are using Endeavor, it is pretty likely that Infernape is going down. However, was able to do work in most of the games that we were able to bring it to, so I'm pretty happy with it. Like Groudon with the Choice Scarf was able to do a lot. The Specs Flutter Mane showcases why you gotta respect a Flutter Mane. It's just able to do a ton of damage. And overall, the team performed pretty well. If you'd like to try out the team, the rental code is on the screen. Hopefully it's still available by the time the video comes out. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.